Do you want to know how to identify positive consequences that really work? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting and good communication, how to build strong family bonds and improve relationships through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we are talking about positive consequences. In this video, we're going to be talking about positive consequences and why they are useful as teaching tools. And then we're going to talk about how you can identify positive consequences that will help you in your interactions. Did you know that a person will choose to change their bad behavior, sometimes even more for a positive consequence than they do for a negative consequence? It's true. People do like to find out what motivates them, and if they notice something motivates them, they will work toward it. So one of the things that we can do as parents and in our interactions with other people is figure out how that person is motivated so that we can help them work toward positive consequences that they care about. A lot of people in the workplace try to figure out what would motivate people in the workplace. And this can be very difficult because there's such a variety of people around them. How do we know what would make a good motivator or a good positive consequence for someone and what doesn't make a good positive consequence? So there are people that like more short-term positive consequences and other people that like more long-term positive consequences. So when you're coming up with a really good positive consequence, what you might want to consider is this a short-term positive consequence or a long-term positive consequence? If the person is more of a big picture thinker, a planner, then they probably want a long-term positive consequence. If they're a person who is detail-oriented, focused on things in the minute, a little bit more emotional type personality, then they probably want to have a more short-term positive consequence. But truly, it's always a good idea to have a combination of short-term and long-term positive consequences in order to truly motivate good behavior. So how is behavior motivated by positive consequence? Well, when a person is looking ahead to something that they want, that positive consequence, they actually are doing more forward thinking. They are having more of a hopeful attitude. They are having a can-do attitude. This actually propels them forward. Oftentimes people will conquer bad behavior because they get a glimpse of a possibility. Wait, maybe I could do something differently, something I hadn't thought of before. And when they get the tiniest bit of proof that it's possible, that proof could just be some sort of positive consequence or motivation that they've had a taste of or that they've seen in their near future, then they start working toward that positive thing. Another thing with positive consequences that we have to recognize is that oftentimes when people are motivated to work toward a positive consequence, it's usually because it was their idea. So when you're trying to identify good positive consequences for a person, you're going to analyze, is short-term or long-term better for them? But then you might also consider, what is their idea of a good positive consequence? Again, we see this in the workplace. People in the workplace will ask their coworkers, their colleagues, or their employees, what positive consequence would motivate you? And some people say, oh, well, if I could get an extra day off once a year, if I got ahead of my work, that would be really motivating. That's a really long-term consequence. But some people might say, you know what? If we could have dress down Friday every week, if we keep up on our work, that would matter to me. That's a short-term consequence, something that matters for them right in the minute. But there are sometimes people who say things like, well, if you would shave your head, if we all meet our goals, then that would be a positive consequence that would be motivating to us. So for some people, just having the control over the consequence, it doesn't have to be long-term or short-term, it's just something that they can control. It makes all the difference. Now, positive consequences do offer us an element of control, but some positive consequences give us even more of that feeling of being in control. For instance, maybe we get to do something to someone else, or we get to have a special privilege that nobody else gets to have, or we get to make determinations for ourselves because we achieved something. Maybe we get to have a better parking spot than everyone else. That is a positive consequence that gives an element of control to a person, or feeling like they control their environment or the other people around them. So sometimes we have to look at the tendencies of the person. Does that person have a tendency to want to control other people? Or does that person have a tendency to want to do kind things and to serve other people? And by the way, on this channel, I have videos all about tendencies, so be sure to look at my videos on tendencies, the 4 tendencies, and how to parent people with different tendencies, because that's probably going to help you. There is a tendency called an obliger tendency. The obliger loves to do things for other people and feel like they were of benefit to somebody else. So for an obliger, a positive consequence could actually be them doing an act of service for someone else. They might say, hey, for a positive consequence, how about we do this humanitarian project? Everybody else in the office would be like, that's nice for you, but that doesn't work for me. But that person really, really wants to do something kind. You know, there are those people who will buy something from someone just so they can give money to a charity to benefit somebody else. So what's really going to work for the person that you're trying to motivate? Well, it depends on their personality. So you need to ask yourself some questions about their personality. What tendency do they have? Are they an obliger, a questioner, an upholder, or are they a rebel? Because rebels, they want to know they've got some control, okay? Do they need a long-term positive consequence or a short-term positive consequence? Or if you're working with a group, do you need to have a combination of both short-term and long-term positive consequences? And what about money? Does it have to be stuff and money all the time? No. In fact, did you know that a lot of the most effective consequences are things that speak to a person's love language? And there are 5 love languages. Only one of those love languages usually involves any type of money. So what are the 5 love languages? The 5 love languages are gifts. That one could involve money. Quality time. Spending time with another person doesn't have to involve any money for it to be really good. I mean, it could involve a little. What about words of affirmation? Those are totally free. You just have to take the time to give them. Or what about service? Service could involve a little bit of money, but doesn't have to. And what about physical touch? Free. That doesn't involve any money either. When you are examining what type of a consequence would benefit a person, you might want to also ask yourself, how do they communicate love to other people? Do they give service, time? Do they give gifts a lot? Do they say kind words? Are they always touching somebody on the shoulder? What do they do to show that they care? Maybe that's a type of positive consequence that I need to focus on for them. When you're a parent and you're trying to reach out to your child, ask yourself, how do they show love? Ask yourself, do they plan ahead or think about things only in the minute? And what tendencies do they show me that they have for their communication and the way that they process the world around them? Those are a few ways that you can identify what types of positive consequences will help your child or the person you love best. Positive consequences teach cause and effect, which help at teaching self-government. This whole channel is all about teaching self-government. So if you're interested in ways that you can learn more about self-government and use self-government in your communications, then you may want to also see my video called The Expectation Trap versus the Cycle for Success. Click on the link to that video now and learn more about how you can improve your relationships with others.